What would happen if in Jujutsu Kaisen and that universe it began to change just a slight bit? What if Itadori lost his grandfather a couple years earlier and was adopted by a new family, the Todo family? Well, that's what we're gonna figure out in What If Itadori was Aoi Todo's brother. Yo, what's good everybody? It's your boy Golden Falls, Golden What If, whatever you want to call me. And I am back with a brand new Jujutsu Kaisen What If. And as always, if you enjoy, make sure to leave a like, sub, and comment down below any suggestions you have for future What Ifs for Jujutsu Kaisen, or maybe Naofumi and Demon Slayer What Ifs. With that said, make sure to check all the links in the description, and I hope all y'all enjoy. And let's get right into the What If. Let's get it. It's a few years before the original passing of Itadori's grandfather, and this unfortunately occurs way sooner than what Itadori would be expecting, all because of some heart attack it seemed. His grandfather was healthy, seemed to be healthy, but he was sent to the hospital 3 years earlier. Itadori would go out of his way to basically visit him all the time. Frankly, he was the only family he had left, so how could he not visit him? He continued visiting him. That's until his grandfather began to speak with him. Actually, for the first time, he began to speak seriously, not in a mean or condescending tone, telling Itadori to basically fight, that he needs to protect people, that just protect one, save two. He's strong, stronger than most people, and Itadori, he should save as many as he can before he passes on. Don't leave any regrets. His grandfather dies, happening 3 years earlier than in the original canon, and Itadori doesn't know what to do with himself. He's sad, traumatized. The last family member he had is gone, and there's nobody waiting for him. He leaves the hospital, and frankly, he can't afford the bills to stay in his home. He can't do anything. He's lost at this point. And that's until someone approaches him, someone with a scar on his face, and someone that he doesn't know very well, but he would get to know very soon. That boy's name is Aoi Todo. Todo began to see this person moping around and wanted to approach him, speak with him, know what's going on, and Aoi Todo was currently out on a mission of some sorts, actually one of his first missions, and he begins to speak with Itadori. Itadori explains his story, explains that he doesn't really have a home to go back to, and Todo decides to ask him a question, and that will determine if he will let him into his own home. And Itadori is shocked to hear this. Why would he just let a stranger into his own home? But it seems like, well, Todo is that type of person. So he begins to ask the question. Let me know, what type of girls do you like? That's a weird question to ask. But I would have to say, it would have to be a girl who's tall and has a fat ass. Aoi Todo begins to smile and brings Itadori in for a hug. I knew it. I could tell by your demeanor. You are truly a cultured man. Now come with me, brother. He then takes Yuji to his home, or well, his childhood home. He takes him there and introduces him to his parents and says that he currently doesn't live here. He lives somewhere else in Kyoto. He actually lives in a Kyoto school for jujutsu sorcerers. Yuji is shocked to hear this, actually not expecting anything of the sort, but Todo tells him not to worry, that he's not going to force him to join the Jujutsu Tech or Kyoto Jujutsu Tech anytime soon. That's all going to be up to him, but his family will treat him like their own, like a brother to him, that he will be his adopted brother. Itadori thanks him, and thanks him for everything. He just met the man, but he's going to do so much for him. And Todo says that it's truly no issue, and for him not to worry about it. Todo then sets off once again back to his school, or well, in Kyoto. He heads off and Yuji just goes about his life just as normal, knowing about curses and learning various things from Todo every time he visits, and even learning some things from his family. But that's about it. His life around curses is not really something to be noteworthy of some sort. He actually just lives a normal life. He just continues to go to school and do his normal thing. That's until something happens at his school when he's more or less just hanging out with his friends. Something begins to be unraveled. A whole new bag of worms that Yuji will have to deal with. He learns of his friends unwrapping something with a great evil presence behind it, and Yuji wasn't there. He should have stopped them. Why didn't he stop them? He didn't know what it was, but he could have figured it out, and he might have figured it out way too late. He runs after the school to see the school wrapped in this black mist. It seems like the curses have already arrived. He runs in as fast as possible, and he actually seems to be not the first one here. Someone else is here and begins to exercise many curses, but he's not able to do it all by himself. Yuji is able to kick a curse off of his friends, saving them, but not being able to get them out very quickly, because, well, the main source of the power that is attracting these curses is that finger. That finger right there. The finger that used to belong to Sukuna. The fight then rages on after Yuji gets his friends to somewhat safety, and he begins to fight with another Jujutsu sorcerer. Obviously, he's not a Jujutsu sorcerer himself, but he does know a couple things. Todo has taught him a couple things, and frankly, he's been trying to mimic them for a while now, but he doesn't know exactly how to use his cursed energy. Frankly, it's very minimal. He's had minimal training, like I said, so he begins to fight this cursed monster, and it's relatively even with the help of Megumi. They continue to battle it, but Yuji unfortunately gets stuck, and basically gets captured by the cursed monster, and the curse is about to absorb the finger, Sukuna's finger, and he can't let this happen. He cannot let this monster absorb Sukuna's finger, and in a last-ditch effort, he eats the finger. Megumi is shocked to see this, thinking that this is bad. Yuji's gonna die. Something's gonna happen. He's gonna have to exorcise him right now after he defeats this monster, because when Yuji doesn't explode from the power, he actually obliterates the curse and stands there, markings all over his body, and begins to laugh. I can see it all. The women, the children, it's gonna be a massacre. And Megumi is tremoring at this point, is terrified. Sukuna's back. Did he just find a perfect vessel? And Sukuna begins to turn towards Megumi, but Yuji begins to take back over. Hey, you know you're in my body, right? Time for you to go. Yuji begins to switch sides, and now he's back in control over his body. Megumi is shocked to see this. How the hell did you do that? That doesn't even make sense. You're cursed now. I'm sorry, I have to exorcise you. But just as this is being told to Yuji, someone else shows up. Satoru Gojo. He arrives on the scene and begins to tell Megumi to calm down, that it's a-okay. He begins to explain that, well, Yuji is someone of importance, and especially now, he's definitely someone of importance. A perfect vessel for Sukuna. Definitely interesting. He explains to Itadori that some things need to go down properly here. For one, they need to fight. He wants to fight him to see where Sukuna's power is at, and if he can allow him to fight for about 10 seconds, that would be good. Itadori questions why he would want that, but Gojo says that it's just fine, to trust him. So, he does. They fight, and Itadori ends up being knocked out. And when he awakens, he's surrounded by seals. And well, these seals are more or less stopping him from leaving. He begins to say that he's sorry that it turned out this way. He didn't want it to turn out that way, and Gojo begins to tell him that he has to be executed. That's just part of the job here. But he did convince the elders that maybe you could, be a perfect vessel, and you can eat all the fingers, and then you'll die. Yuji then nods, saying that he'll do whatever it takes. He wants to just see his brother again. The person that took him in, he feels like he let him down. And he's confused. Gojo begins to say that he's not actually your brother, but Itadori disagrees. He says that Aoi Todo is his brother. That yes, it's adoptive, but he's the only person that came to him, a complete stranger, when he had nothing. So he is his brother. And, well, Gojo kind of smiles at this and says that he assumes that, well, Yuji would become a jujitsu sorcerer, but it's not gonna be here. It's gonna be at Kyoto, in which Yuji agrees with, saying that if that's possible, he wants to be there. Gojo obviously agrees to do this, but says that he wants to train Yuji as well on some powers that he may or may not know. So that would occur. He would take a couple visits to basically visit Yuji every so often and speak with him. But for now, he'll be seeing his way to Kyoto as long as their principal allows him in which the elder does allow him in, but for all the wrong reasons. Yuji doesn't know this, but he's gonna have to deal with something very critical very soon. Aoi Todo then approaches Yuji with Mai, and they begin to speak with him. Mai introduces herself, saying that she's heard a lot about him and is surprised that he's here so early, and he explains the situation. Todo is shocked to hear this, saying that it must have been a good ass reason if he ate the finger, and Itadori nods, saying that it was. He was forced into it. If he didn't, everybody there would have died. And Todo says that he knew his brother would be amazing. I mean, this is proof of it. A perfect vessel for Sukuna? Come on. Mai kind of just snickers at this, saying that just sounds ridiculous, but she'll go with it. And he explains that, well, there's some missions for him to do, and he's not going to be doing anything too critical. There is another first year, but he's out doing something else, and that Yuji will have to be able to do some missions on his own. A mission is given to him, but it's more of a introductory mission, you can call it, and he actually goes with Todo. Todo begins explaining that there is this challenge with the other school coming up very soon, and that he should be in it instead of one of the either second years or third years. And Yuji asks if that's really okay, and Todo says that as long as he vouches for him, he's sure it's fine. And he's also sure that there's somebody out of all of them that definitely would not want to be fighting in this. Yuji kind of laughs at this and says that he agrees, of course, but he does want to get some training in. And after basically going through this building and exercising a cursed spirit with relative ease, frankly, Yuji still has his brute strength and is extremely strong, and actually stronger than in canon. But after this first quote-unquote introductory mission, the principal of Kyoto begins to scheme something for Yuji. Scheme something extremely fatal. Yuji then gets invited by Satoru Gojo to do some minor training. At the end of the day, Gojo is not the best teacher, but he does teach him how to properly use his cursed energy slightly better. And then he also can use the stuff he's learned from Todo to learn more and more. So utilizing cursed energy, not just Divergent Fist, is getting better for him as well. Because obviously he isn't able to use cursed energy to its maximum potential, but he's definitely getting there. He is a prodigy to a certain extent, but he's not going to learn everything instantly. Now with that said, Gojo's training kind of wraps up pretty soon. After a couple days, Gojo says that he has a mission to go on and he has some business to take care of. Yuji says that that's completely fine and heads back to Kyoto. When he arrives there, he begins speaking with his brother, Aoi Todo, and they begin doing simple training. And Todo explains that he wants to teach Yuji something called the Black Flash. He's not going to be able to do it, at least right now, but it's something he wants to keep his eye on and maybe even use in his next mission, in which there was a mission assigned to Yuji for the next day. But Yuji won't be making that mission and won't be able to even try to execute that black flash of some sorts that Todo wanted him to do. While everyone's sleeping, someone, he's not sure who, approaches his bedside and proceeds to kill him, making him practically unrecognizable, and Yuji couldn't even react. His head was cut off, and frankly, the rest of his body was torn to shreds. But this sent Yuji into somewhere he didn't even know existed, and that is to meet Sukuna. Not too long before that though, not too long at all, someone by the name of Kamo approaches the elder, the principal of Kyoto, and begins to tell him that he's going to handle this. He'll handle Yuji Itadori, that it's really not a problem, and that he fell right into their lap. He smirks and walks off, knowing the climate of this situation, that Yuji needs to die, that the vessel of Sukuna that has 2 fingers, one from that day at the school and one from Gojo himself, needs to perish right here and right now. So he does just that. The next morning, Todo knocks on Yuji's door. Knocks again. Again, no answer.
Brother, you in there? Wake up, we have stuff to do. Hello? I'm coming in.
Todo walks in to see his brother killed. Completely just decimated. He wraps him up in the blanket and begins carrying him out by himself. People approach him. Mai approaches him, and some other people do as well, and ask what happened, and he doesn't say a word. Mai asks him again what is in the blanket, and he begins to cry slightly.
My brother's in that blanket, and I'm gonna find out whoever did this and rip him limb from limb.
Todo walks out, and Mai can't even believe what she's hearing, running after him, beginning to ask more and more questions about who he thinks did it, and Todo begins to think that he needs to think about that a little bit more. He's not sure, but when he does, they're gonna have hell to pay. So Todo decides that he's going to bring him to the only person he truly trusts, at least at this moment, knowing that he was a person that helped save Yuji from that incident that day. He's gonna bring him to, well, Gojo and also Megumi. He does just that, and they all 3 head off and begin to bring him to this place, this dissection-like place that they can basically analyze his body, in which they do just that. But what happens after may be just as frightening. Yuji begins to heal, his head reattaches, and his body begins to completely heal of all wounds and punctures. His heart begins to beat again, and he sits up. Hey guys, what just happened? Everybody begins to freak out. He just came back from the dead. But Todo runs over and hugs his brother.
Oh, thank God you're okay. How the hell are you okay? I'm so confused.
But he explains. Sukuna somehow saved him. But Gojo questions. Did he make a deal with you? Any deal? And Itadori says he doesn't know. He remembers some sort of deal, but he's not sure what type of deal. And well, that's in Itadori's body. The same deal that happened before happens again. He basically makes a deal with Sukuna that he can choose when to bring out Sukuna. When Sukuna says a word, he'll be able to be brought out, but only for 1 minute, not being able to kill or anything like that of it, at least in terms of his friends. and Itadori doesn't even remember this, and frankly nobody else will even know about it. Aoi Todo, Megumi, and Gojo are just happy to see this, but question how the hell it happened. He didn't go on a mission, right? Todo shakes his head. No, his mission was scheduled for the next day, so that wouldn't have made sense. So what happened? Gojo says that it must have been the elder. The old man must have assigned someone to assassinate him in the middle of night. Todo says that he's done with this bullshit. He doesn't care anymore. That he's going to handle business then. But Gojo shakes his head, saying that that's really not appropriate, that it's okay. That he will handle what needs to be handled in the upper region in terms of the elders and the principals and stuff like that. And Todo will handle the people that did it. And Todo nods. So they take Yuji and Todo back to Kyoto, but tell him to keep it on the low for now. That Yuji should be just hanging out in his room for a little bit, maybe a day, before they actually reveal what occurred. Reveal that he's still alive. They decide to extend the days a couple days, you could say, until finally Todo finds out who killed his brother. He approaches the man, and Kamo even admits it, saying that what's done is done, and he needed to do it. But Todo shakes his head. He didn't need to do it. He did it under his own free will, and that was a big mistake. Mai basically puts a hand on Todo's chest, saying that he can't fight here. It's not a good idea. They shouldn't be fighting each other. And Todo says that that's what he would have said before he killed Itadori. But you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy, Kamo? It's that he's still alive. Itadori walks out of his room and walks toward Todo, staring daggers into Kamo. You killed me when I was sleeping. That's something interesting. I didn't know Jujutsu sorcerers were cowards. Now, would you try and kill me to my face, where I can fight back? I would assume not, because you don't want to fight Sukuna's vessel, correct? Kamo is shocked to see this. Dude, he's a dead man walking. How is he up? How is he alive? Todo shakes his head and tells them that he's taking Itadori somewhere else, and if an assassination attempt even occurs again, well, he'll take drastic measures into his own hands. And everybody here, everybody involved, will die. Todo leaves with Yuji, and the training begins for the school exchange event. But during this training, actually Kamo argues that Itadori should not be allowed to do so. He is a first year, but Todo says that he vouches for him, and he's sure Miwa wouldn't mind sitting out, in which she nods, saying that she doesn't really want to fight them or the other people over there anyways, so she will definitely call this one out and bow this one out, in which and Todo tells him, see, you already can see that she doesn't want to fight, so Itadori is the next best thing. So we're gonna add him. Trust me, if you want to test his power, you can. Fight him yourself. But don't get me wrong, I wouldn't blame him if he takes your head off. Kamo scoffs at this and walks away, basically pissed at the fact that he's going to have to fight with Sukuna's vessel. And later on, this is even brought up with the elder. The elder wants to bring everything in to basically cause the death of Itadori, but Gojo and people from the other Jujutsu high school are basically stopping this. They're stopping everything that is this betrayal-like behavior, and that if Sukuna was that wanted to be killed, they would have already handled the fingers that they're basically holding on to. They know that Itadori is the perfect vessel, so why not give him the rest of those fingers? It's all formality for them, right? Well, Gojo even brings this up, and the elder shuts it down and says that he should be respecting his elders, but Gojo does not care. He says that it's ridiculous that you tried to kill a Jujutsu sorcerer in his sleep. and then cover it up. That there's some law out there that says that that is not right and that you should be punished. Gojo, frustrated with the elder, leaves, saying that if it wasn't for basically Todo, he would have had basically Yuji over here and not at Kyoto. That it doesn't make sense for that boy to be over there when everybody seems to be off for his head. But luckily, not everybody truly is. Miwa doesn't necessarily have a problem with him, he's kind of just taking the place of her, and frankly she wants this. Mai doesn't have a problem with him at all. Actually, she was one of the first people he met in the beginning. Todo obviously doesn't have a problem. It's more Kamo. Kamo has this main issue with Itadori, and frankly Todo and Yuji don't like him either. But they're gonna have to bite their tongues, at least in the meantime, until after the exchange event. And that is when the exchange event will occur. Now, after planning and careful, basically scheming, the exchange event is about to begin. They head over to Jujutsu Tech, and when they arrive, they're greeted, and even Gojo gives them a little, you could say, present. But it's just kind of like a little knickknack, and that's about it. They all get ready to basically start this exchange event, but this plan that they quote-unquote put into place, well, Yuji knows of it, and so does Todo, but they don't really care. They really just need to worry about this voice curse user or whatever, and that's what's gonna be the main issue. Other than that, they don't really mind. They're gonna go out and fight whoever they want, and they're gonna fight it together, like brothers. But Kamo, the real question is, would he kill someone on his own team? Would he take advantage of maybe Yuji being down for the count and use that as a way of killing him? What will happen? Will Yuji actually survive this event of some sorts? Well, let's find out. The event then begins, and all of them begin rushing out, Yuji and Todo running out like wildfire, full sprint ahead, and they collide into Panda. Panda is there, and well, he wants to go head to head with Todo, but he can't go head to head with Todo and Yuji. Luckily, someone is going to appear, and someone is going to actually take the place, so Panda doesn't have to go 2v1 against Yuji and Todo. Frankly, this matchup is very unfair. The Todo matchup was unfair in the first place, so when someone else comes barreling down with some sort of bow staff, striking it on the ground while Yuji dodges, he smirks and cracks his knuckles, ready for a fight. He kicks the female across the way into a tree, and their fight is basically escorted to a nice river. Hey, you look familiar. I like the glasses though. Who do you look like? I can't put my finger on it. Maki begins to shake her head and say that he knows that Mai is her sister. Actually, twin sister. Really? Twin sister? I never heard about no twin sister. Now that's crazy. But I was dead for a little bit there. That's probably why I didn't hear about it. And then I was locked in my room for like 3 days. Yuji though is cut off by Maki's attack, and they begin to go head to head. It's kind of crazy. Maki doesn't have any curse energy, but Yuji can feel that she is extremely strong. That she has this superhuman-like strength just like him, but more technique. It seems like she can actually keep up with his raw power. Yes, he does have more strength than she would most likely, but her technique and enhanced speed and reflexes definitely puts her on some sort of edge in terms of the weapon department. But they're drawing toward a stalemate. So Yuji just continues to speak with her, talking about Mai, saying that if they're sisters, why do they seem so scornful toward each other? Or at least Mai seems scornful. She's always so mad, never happy, always angry with someone. He assumes that it's Maki that makes her so angry. Maki says and tells him not to get into their personal affairs, but Yuji says that that's kind of his thing, kicking her down the river as they continue their fight. He grabs her weapon and turns it against her, but she's able to disarm him pretty easily. Yeah, I didn't think that would go too well. I don't know how to use a bow staff. Well, let's continue. They continue to fight, but also they continue their conversation. And Maki says that she's angry with Mai, or Mai's angry with her because she left. Because she left the Zenin clan, because the Zenin clan are a bunch of assholes, pieces of shit, and frankly, she did not want to do anything for them. She would have just turned into some sort of slave, and that's not what she wanted with her life. She's no cursed child. She's no bad person by anything. She's no failure. So she wants to prove that, and she is proving that. In which Yuji hears this and is pretty shocked. I see. Now that is definitely not what I was expecting. But Mai feels abandoned by you. I hope you understand that. And maybe you two can reconcile in the future. I'm not sure. I don't know this whole sister and sister thing. I just have, that brother and brother thing. That's kind of, my style. But, unfortunately, I just don't understand it. But maybe I will soon. Maybe. Just as their conversation ends and their fight is about to reach its climax, a bullet comes trailing toward Maki, but it barely misses. He looks behind him to see Mai with an aim right at Maki, about to unload her mag once again, but doesn't. And a barrier begins to go up around the entire area. Yuji looks up and questions what the hell is going on, and looks toward Maki and Mai and tells them to stop. That this is bad. Something bad is happening. He looks around and sees basically unwanted fighting happening. It seems like there are curses on the battlefield, and curses very, very close. So Yuji, Maki, and Mai are going to have to somewhat work together here. Somewhat try and work together and find a curse, the curse that's nearby, and fight it, and hopefully defeat it if they work together. He's not sure where Todo is, not sure where Panda is, and if Panda's even still in commission, but frankly, they have to drop this. This is life or death now. But they don't know that the cursed spirit they're going towards is one of the strongest cursed spirits they'll ever deal with in their experience as Jujutsu sorcerers. But you'll have to find out what happens next time on What If Itadori Was Aoi Todo's brother. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, sub, and comment down below. And if you have any suggestions, make sure to comment that stuff down below and stuff like that. Leave suggestions for JJK what ifs or Naofumi what ifs, stuff like that. And I really did hope you all enjoyed. I definitely tried my best to make this pretty entertaining, and there's some stuff that could happen in this next part. This is gonna be 1 out of 2, so yeah. So I hope y'all enjoyed, and also I did get a new mic, so if I sound a little different, that's why. And yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed, and I hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.